I'm Petra. Acupuncture points in the body do a lot of things for us, basically. Sometimes some of them are quite visible on the skin, as you can see in the images I've put up here. There's this very prominent one in the neck area that we all have. There's some other prominent ones at the back of the body, like you can see with the image here demonstrated with the little boy. There are some that are hanging out. They're taking their time to hang out there in the elbow. If you look at the inner part of your elbow, there are those that are seated like tiny little grooves at the side of the wrist. It's visible in some people's body. It isn't that visible in some other people's bodies. There are those that just sit, distinctly, like you find on Obama's cheeks. I just want to mention that those are things we all have. It's just that it's more prominent on his own face than it is with the rest of us, because that acupuncture point sits at that very position in everybody's face. His own is just prominent, and yours might not be that prominent. So he's not the only one that has dimples. Let's just not look at them as dimples, but they are dimples in quotes sitting as acupuncture points on his face. And then, of course, there are those that are sitting down prominently at the back of our knees. If you take your time to look at a lot of people's knees, you'll see where it dips in some places. There are some that dip in some people's ankle. Well, they're just there, scattered in different parts of the skin. I want to talk about those you might not be seeing. There are those that are so hidden, because a lot of people kind of wonder, but how are they 2,000? I'm only seeing these few. How really are they up to 2,000 and all of that? The ancient physicians mentioned they were about 364, but we do have a lot of happenings within the time they spoke about these things, and the trends nowadays also boosted by electroacupuncture, assisting us to see over the generations that there are a lot more than 364 of them in our bodies. So I'll take you to some that are hanging out in bones. If you take your time to bend your wrist and dip your finger into that groove between the wrist and the bones of the ulnar area, you would actually find a deep-seated groove there. It's an acupuncture point sitting down there as groove in that spot. If you take your time to palpate this image I'm showing here, the index finger, if you are palpating in a gentle way, you're going to touch a spot that the bone seems to dip a bit inside, and it comes out again. At that spot that it dips a bit, as if it's taking itself off the shape of the curve very slightly and coming out again, you're going to see an acupuncture point sitting down there. That spot actually hosts an acupuncture point. I'll bring you some others that sit within bones. If you take your time to palpate the area on the clavicle, you're going to find a spot where the bone dips a bit. It just dips off the line, and then it comes out again, and it just continues. If you take your hand to palpate the bone on the foramen, around the eye, you're going to feel a spot. It dips a little, just a tiny little dip inside. Well, the medical people tell us there are a lot of neural activities taking place in those places. Yes, they are so right. But I want to let you know, in the fullness of it, is actually several neural activities and several other things happening inside acupuncture points in the body. Now, I may not be able to give you all of the ones in the bones, so I'll just take you through a few. If you take your time to dip your fingers between the joints of your metatarsals and your metacarpals in the feet and in the hand, you're going to find a lot of places that have grooves within them. Those grooves are actually hosting acupuncture points in the body. If you dip your hands between that spot, your ankle sits down with the bones at the bottom, you're going to find a groove somewhere around there. I want to take you to the grooves inside the tendons. If you take your time to dip your hands into these two tendons, you're going to find a groove sitting down there. That's an acupuncture point sitting down there. So there are lots of acupuncture points that actually sit down in the midst of tendons as well. Then there are so many of them that sit in between muscles. So by the time you collate those ones sitting visibly on the skin with those ones sitting gingerly in the space created by the bones in a funny way that the world calls foramen, and of course by the time you add it to the ones that are hiding in between tendons all over the body and the ones that are seated in the midst of several different types of muscles in the body, you certainly will come up with the over 2,000 of them that we are talking about. Here's part of the gist that is most interesting. Every one of them you see renders diverse services to you. There are some that they just render some kind of services that power your health. Some take on jobs that power your health, your mental health, your beauty, and your executive functioning all at once. Some take on the functions that touch on your mental health. Some take on functions that touch on your balance as a person. Some take on functions that just definitely tells your liver to keep going. So if you have this, when you see people having failures like kidney failures, liver failures, and some other organ failures, I want to tell you that that is a clear state that some acupuncture points that is actually managing the functions of each and every one of those jobs are not doing their jobs, or is not doing its job. I took time to talk about puppets in one of the videos. I took time to explain how we used to watch these puppets in films in those days. We just would see the puppets moving around like human beings. Please take your time to look at what I've dropped here. I explained it clearly in this portion. I'll take you back here shortly. Hi viewers, I'm going to be sharing an illustration in this video today with throwback moments we had as kids. Well, when we were kids, we always loved these films that had puppets in them. But you know what? There was always this wonder at the back of our minds as we watched each and every one of the actions demonstrated by these puppets. It just kind of looked like, okay, these things are not human beings. How come they are moving the hands, or how come they are moving the legs as if they are human beings? Well, the actions they put into the demonstrations they were doing in each of the parts they were supposed to play in those films just looked so real and so normal to humans. But you know, in the heart of kids, there will always be this wonder at the back of your mind. Okay, how is it done? In a bid to kind of satiate my curiosity, one day came, I just suddenly discovered that I was seeing a string somewhere pulling the puppets. And you know, that gave the game away. This exactly is the reason why the gingerbread man can be able to move from one place to the other. A gingerbread man, oh, as if it's just a human being like me and you. So, well, I brought this illustration today because I just wanted to let you into the insight on how certain things are run in the body. Every aspect of your body is controlled by something. Something controls the way blood flows to the feet. Something controls the way that blood circulates to the brain. Something controls the way that your fingers flex. Something controls the way that your eyes blink. Well, this is actually like an intro into many of the things I'll be telling you in this channel about acupuncture points. So I guess each of the videos that will come subsequently will give you a broader understanding of what controls what in relation to the video that will be featured. Take this tip home. If any of the parts of your body does a job for you, something is controlling that part of the body and keeping it running. If any of the part of your body is not doing its job, then something that controls that part of the body is perhaps damaged or deactivated or infected. So it's important you get to know these grooves in your body, because you know what, they're actually also tied to if you have antioxidants that are sufficient enough to run things. They are the ones that are actually the brains behind whether you have poor immune response or a brilliant immune response. Anti-inflammatory response is actually the way impulses flow through them that determine whether you're going to have a good response. So basically, there are a lot of things that relate to response happening inside acupuncture points. So hiding right here in some acupuncture points, some provide you anti-inflammatory response. You don't really need heat in the body. I tell you that heat has this scattering tendency. It just kind of scatters you and makes you feel unstable. But you know what? Some of these acupuncture points just bring about their calming effect. They just redefine a lot of things. I think perhaps I left out the aspects of mental health. I better just bring it forward now. All of the problems people are having out there in the world today are just signs that something is happening to an acupuncture point or the other in their bodies that manage the moods. We basically refer to them as mood stabilizers. So if you are having anxiety or panic attacks, it's clear that some acupuncture point or the other in your body, they are not doing their jobs. If you're having irritability or you just find cases of rage and you just know that something is wrong with your mood, basically, then something is wrong with an acupuncture point in your body. So they are not only involved in executive functioning, they are so much involved in mental health. They are so much involved in everyday health. And then of course they are so very much involved in your beauty. It is right there in your acupuncture point. You're able to pull out hyaluronan. For those who are freaking out on buying bottles that have hyaluronic acid amongst the several chemicals in them to make them look beautiful, you can pull these things out from within your body in some acupuncture points. There are acupuncture points that just bring you the serum, the power, what looks like vitamin E or vitamin C or whatever you can just think you are buying in your body creams. So bottom line, I actually wanted to introduce you to what these grooves look like in the body, where perhaps they are hiding, so that you'll be able to have a balanced understanding. You do have them. So the next move is to encourage you to start engaging them. The simplest way you can engage them is to do simple massage therapies. Sometimes just catch your 5 minutes to change your life, okay? Let me tell you what I do. If I wake up into a day and it just looks like the day isn't going well the way I would love it to be, I just simply go to acupuncture points that change the settings. I want them to power my thyroid function. I want them to change my executive functioning. And then I seed my 10 minutes. I choose to spend it. Just leave anything I want to do. Spend that 10 minutes on that acupuncture point. I want to tell you that the harvest they bring me is a lot more than the 10 minutes I thought I spent. That looked like a wasted 10 minutes. Sometimes it might even up to 2 or 3 minutes. I can change the ball game of things. The acupuncture points I touch, when I remember to go there, and they just help me to improve on my planning skills. There are some I go to, I discover that my decision making is sharper and clearer. There are some acupuncture points in my body I just go to. That problem of execution that a lot of people have is a real problem, because you know what, I've actually been a victim of those kind of issues. I may have things running to an extent and then I may not be able to bring it up to an end or something. Bottom line, the thing has not been executed to its fullness. So bottom line, everything you do in the body is prompted by an acupuncture point. There are lots of other things I would like to let you know about acupuncture points in your body, but this is just like the beginning for some subscribers to this channel. Perhaps they've not been hearing me talk about things like this, but they are not my followers on some social media platforms. But for those who are just coming and who are just new subscribers, I just wanted to help you to understand acupuncture points a bit. Hope you enjoy your stay in this channel. You're going to have a great one. So click on that subscribe button